Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Talking Smack, where we talk superheroes, movies, animation, and comics, and so much more. I am your host, Josh Scar, and I am joined this week by Matt. Matt, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me. How's it going?
It's going quite well because we are joined by another smackhead, one of our favorite people, Beppo. Beppo, welcome back.
I'm back. I told you I would be re-emerging as soon as She-Hulk was over. It took forever to wash all the green body paint off me. I had to be game for the finale. So I'm here and I'm back to normal human flesh tone. I'm so sorry.
You've emerged from your cave.
I've emerged from my Shulky cave.
So, as you may have guessed with Beppo's presence, we are going to be talking about She-Hulk in its entirety, the Disney Plus Marvel series. It's going to be a good time. Spoilers ahead, and there's going to be some jokes at my name expense, I'm guessing, but that'll come later.
Just watch it. If you didn't watch it already, just go watch it. Just watch it.
Yeah,
and then come back and listen to this, because again, spoiler alert.
Very heavy spoilers.
Just watch it.
Yeah. All right, well, welcome back from watching it. Now
Now we're going to do a quick ad break, and we're going to hear from the Movie Wire with Justin Henson. We'll be right back.
In a world with so many movies to choose from, one man has created the go-to podcast for reviews of hot and trending movies, so you know what's worth your time. The Movie Wire Podcast with host Justin Henson. Hear Justin's movie verdict wherever you listen to podcasts. Tune in to The Movie Wire today.
And we're back, and now we are definitely going to be talking about She-Hulk.
Yes, I'm bouncing up and down. I know you guys can't see it right now, but I'm bouncing up and down like a child. Yes.
I can only imagine what you were doing at the start of every fanfare of every episode, just sitting there, just. I picture you like a kid on Saturday morning cartoons, bowl of Cocoa Puffs, and just like, yes.
See, what I did was I got all of the green cereal that exists. So I got my Captain Crunch berries, but I only took out the green ones. Well, purple too's fine. I got my the green marshmallows from Lucky Charms, my Apple Jacks. I was all set. It's like if I'm going to immerse myself in wonderful hulkiness, then I need to hulk and bulk on green food.
You're not gonna rib it and rip it?
Yeah. Oh no. No, but I feel like my best friend would. That's not a jab at you, bestie. I'm sorry, wink wink, because she'll probably listen to this. You know who you are.
What an indictment of this person.
This isn't the first time I've thrown her under the bus. It's fine.
So instead of doing like a story breakdown or an episode by episode breakdown, I think we're just going to kind of do a general discussion, what we liked, what we didn't like, any episodes that stood out, that sort of thing. And if we want to, we can.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If
we want
to. Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
Go.
I was just going to say, and if we want to, we can go a little more in depth on certain episodes if we have the time. But yes, Matt, feel free to go ahead with the description of the show.
If you haven't seen it, she's a Hulk, but a lady, and she's a lawyer. She's living, she's loving, she's laughing, she's learning.
And her dad is Larry Appleton, which is amazing.
Just go watch it.
10 out of 10 description, man. I'm proud of you.
Episode over, I guess. Thanks for
Bye.
Sorry, I'm aggressively
but
wiggling
so the
now.
show does very much kind of, I don't want to say we influenced it, but obviously we influenced it, you and I, Matt, when we were talking about Ms. Marvel, and we said, do a TV thing. Don't just make a 6 episode movie. Do a TV thing.
Yeah, it's a TV show, which is surprising. You know, it feels like such a silly thing to say that it's a TV show, but like it's a TV show. Or like, there's an overarching story, but every episode is like, here's a problem that She-Hulk and cast and friends are dealing with, and then odds are it's mostly resolved by the end of the episode, and then next episode we're doing something else. As someone who kind of tires of the format that we talked about with Ms. Marvel, where everything has to be this big action heavy giant stretched out movie. I really appreciated one of these shows being like, yeah, it's a TV show. Treat it like one.
Yeah, Beppo, what were your initial impressions?
Whew, okay, that's a loaded question. Okay, I know we're not going episode by episode, so I will not do that. But to start off with, episode 1 couldn't have been more perfect for me personally as a fan. I had 2 nitpicks for the entirety of the episode. One tiny drop of blood seemed kind of small in comparison to the entire blood transfusion to save Jennifer's life in the comics and other backstories. But it has been established in the MCU that Bruce's blood is so toxic, a single blood can put Stan Lee in a coma in a hospital after drinking some sody pop. The other one is when Jen is having her meltdown and she wants to leave Bruce's little secluded area, and she gets into that Jeep and she drives away. For one, Bruce isn't able to hold that car down, and 2, she guns it and it sends him flying. BS. No Hulk would go flying from a Jeep, and if they did, I want that Jeep. Otherwise, the first episode to me was perfect. I watched it like 4 times with all different friends, and I was giddy as heck. For the series overall, I am so happy. Every single episode was either a like or a love, with the exception of maybe one, which was kind of a meh. But pacing-wise, I was really happy about it. Every complaint I saw people give online about... This is my favorite thing with like MCU shows, and I know you guys will get this too. When you're 2 episodes in, they go, well, that doesn't make any sense with the plot. And I'm just like, bitch, there is no plot yet. You've seen... You guys were talking about how these are like long movies instead of TV shows. That's like sitting in a movie for 10 minutes and going, well, this sucks. The plot doesn't make any sense. Like, okay. Like, are you gonna watch Inception for 15 minutes and be like, no, I give up. This is too confusing. No, you're gonna sit and stay and watch the entirety of it. And then if it doesn't make sense, that's when you jump online and read forums for people to explain it to you.
Well, and especially with this, because like, you know, for better or worse, that first episode is chiefly concerned with getting the backstory out of the way. It's not a bad episode. I personally think it's probably the weakest episode of the season, just because it's like tasked with establishing the whole thing. You can tell they don't want to like deal with it throughout the season, so they're just like, first episode, we're gonna knock it out. We're gonna deal with all this stuff. So like, by the second episode, you're like, this sucks. I don't like it. That's valid if you're not feeling it, but also like, you really have only given it 1 episode to do the thing it's trying to do, because the first episode was all the stuff they don't want to deal with for the rest of the series.
Fair enough. See, the first episode I think had a lot more like fun kind of bubbliness to it.
Sure.
And the fact that they did kind of hit past those points of, this is an origin story. That's why, as far as the condensedness of it, of her not needing a full blood transfusion, I'm fine with. It was more or less just kind of like the very first initial watching. I'm like, this isn't accurate to the comic books. I'm so pissed. For me, a lot of people complained after episode 2, and they're like, nothing happened. And I was like, well, yes and no. Episode 2 was build up for literally everything from 3 to 9. So that one to me was one of the weaker episodes, but not for the reasons everybody else complained about. Actually, my biggest complaint, and I think I texted Josh after this, was you go on Disney Plus and you see an episode and it's like 38 minutes. And you're like, oh, hell yeah, we're going to get a lot. It's like a 24-minute episode with like 14 minutes of credits for every country in the world. And I'm like, so that was my problem with like episode 2. I started it up and it ended so soon, and I looked and it was only maybe 21 or 22 minutes of actual showtime. But 3 onward was stellar. It definitely had me excited to watch week to week, and it was a little more episodic. So you didn't feel like you were pausing a movie every 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's like, if I was to, well, we're talking about the criticism. First of all, I think there's a lot of people who are approaching this in bad faith, right? Where it's just, there's a segment of the internet population that the show is like frankly dealing with, where it's like people who just see a show featuring a female lead, a show that like is dealing with those kinds of concerns as opposed to like someone doing badass shit every episode and they're just like, oh, this sucks, it's woke, it's whatever. So like there's so much bad faith criticism out there of it. And I also think that just some people, for whatever reason, just the way TV works now, is that if something does, it used to be that like this was just how TV was, right? Where there was not an overarching plot, and 80% of episodes are what we would call filler, right?
Yep.
The Enterprise goes to a planet, a weird thing happens, they fix it, next
Yeah.
episode. So I think a lot of people are like, oh wow, there needs to be an overarching plot, everything needs to be working towards it. So then like that becomes an issue when there's a show that's like, no, we're gonna like just hang out with these characters and have them do
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Tell a little story that like, it does, I think it does build up into something at the end, but it's not like, we see the bad guys every episode doing something, right? So I think it's just for whatever reason, and part of that I think is all the other Disney Plus shows being exactly what we're talking about. I think some people were just like put off because like I think they don't know what to do with it when it's not, here's the plot.
Yeah. No,
And they can't binge it all at once either, because it's
after watching this series and after rewatching / reevaluating something like Captain Marvel, I was super stoked when Captain Marvel came out and I really enjoyed it. But the more time that had passed and I looked back on it, I felt like it was a really weak movie. And some of it, and this is a very unique perspective I have as a cisgendered woman, is I love empowered characters, no matter the gender, but of course, a female character, a quote unquote strong female character as they're archetyped, is always a bonus and a plus. And one thing that I've always loved about Jen is that, one, she's a very unique character, just personality wise. She's very funny, she's very witty. She uses her brains more so than her brawn, but when the brawn is needed, she gets the job done. But she also embraces her femininity, I can't say that word, a lot. And I appreciate that because I looked up to her since I was literally in diapers, thinking she was so cool. And as I grew up and as I read more comics with her and saw more shows and begged for a movie and TV show, I was always fascinated by a strong female character who, yes, she is physically strong, but she's not just strong in a like male perspective. And going back and rewatching Captain Marvel, my biggest criticism of that now is the movie doesn't feel like it's from a female perspective, even if I think it had a female director, just because it was like,
it was co-directed.
yeah, and it just kind of felt like, well, everybody complains that, oh, you're just taking a male character and slapping boobs on it. It felt like they just took like a Tony Stark and then just put
Sure.
in a girl power montage at the end. To me, there was
Sure.
nothing unique about Captain Marvel in the solo movie that really made me feel like I was empowered. The closest thing to it was when Gwen Stefani, I'm Just a Girl, started playing, and even then I'm like, that's kind of ham-fisted. Come on, I know I'm just a girl.
Well, and while we're on this tangent, when I heard that was in the movie, I was like, oh, that's interesting. That'll be like a fun little thing when, it's like a diegetic moment where there's a fight scene. And then it just is not. It's like, it's just a soundtrack. And I was like, I don't dislike this.
It was during a battle sequence, like towards the end of the movie, and I remember I was super stoked and clapping in the theater. But then afterwards, I was like, wait, that was kind of dumb and like really, really forced.
Captain Marvel's an interesting movie because like I totally hear you, and like obviously I don't have the perspective, right? I'm a cis straight man. When I saw that movie, I did take away some stuff of like of it being about, there's a whole thing where like she's got this power that's been, kind of clamped down by like strong men in her life, and like she overcomes that. So like I could see some stuff there, but also like I totally hear what you're saying. And it's tough because like that movie is like, one, it's so tough to criticize just because that was like a flashpoint for like exactly the kind of thing we were talking about, where that was a movie that it's sort of like The Last Jedi, where like if you say you don't like that movie, that's fine. But enough people have poisoned the well that I'm like, if you say you don't like it, I'm like,
have you seen it?
Tell me more.
Yeah.
Before
no, and I understand that too. But all of the moments in Captain Marvel where there are the flashbacks to her standing up for herself and being told that she was lesser and everything like that, She-Hulk summarized that in one scene. And that's one reason why I love the first episode so much. Is, mind you, I don't remember word for word, but she's sitting there meditating with Bruce, trying to find that Zen again. And she's like, okay, really, I got this. I really need to go. And he's like, no. You got to learn to be in control of your emotions. And she goes, Bruce, I've been in control of my emotions since like the day I was born, because one, I'm constantly being told by incompetent men how to do my job. I'm constantly being
Yep.
catcalled, and to the point where it's terrifying to walk down a street alone. And I was watching this weekly with a big group of friends. And at that point, I literally had a friend unmute herself in the Discord and just go, fucking amen. And it's one of those things
Yeah.
where, yes, I am not a female lawyer. I am not sitting in a law office being berated by, male lawyers. But I have had job interviews where I was straight up told, you did a great interview. You did really fantastic. But just so you know, I don't typically hire women because they don't know what they're doing in the gaming industry. Yeah,
Cool.
I was completely awestruck. But yes, those little things that she says where I'm constantly controlling my emotions, because if I don't, and if I do slip, I'm told I'm hormonal. I'm told that I'm PMSy. I'm told, well, I'm just an emotional woman. And that hit so goddamn hard. And that kind of sentiment throughout the entirety of it. She never once dehumanizes anyone for being male or female, other than like the very clear characters who are kind of, like I can't remember his name, but the one lawyer she used to work for, and he's just an ass.
Yeah.
The one who
Yeah.
apparently dated Megan Thee Stallion.
Was that one Pug, or was that the good lawyer?
No, Pug is the good one.
Okay.
It was like the shitty lawyer that she worked with before she works at the law firm she's at for most of the
Okay.
show.
Yeah, in the DA's office. Yeah.
Yes, I'm looking
Yeah.
for the name right here. Hold on.
Yeah, that's and again, this is not experience I personally can speak to,
Bukowski.
but I obviously am aware that it happens, and it's one of those things that feels like you can feel that if the writing staff wasn't all women, it was a lot of
Yeah.
women, and women directing, where this was going, because it's all about that kind of thing where there's that you mentioned, there's, the threat is basically online trolls, which, like, in the wake of, second time today I'm bringing this up, Gamergate, Comicsgate, just all kinds of a thing where just where being a woman online is unfortunately putting a
It
target on
really
your
is.
back, especially if you're someone who's in comics, gaming, sci-fi, whatever. So you can really feel that it's infused with that experience throughout the show, and I think that's really smart.
Not going to talk much about it, but recently, this past year, I've gotten into game streaming, and I have been embraced by the community. But also, it's terrifying because I think, what if I slip up once? Then everyone will know
Yeah,
who
I
I
bet.
am. Everyone will be able to find dirt. I haven't had one night stands like Jen has, for example, but who's to say there's not something out there that could come back to haunt me that I don't even know exists? So the ending of episode 8 going into 9, I was legitimately speechless. You know that cold feeling you get in your chest when something just scares you? That's what I
Yeah.
had. It hit me because she spent her whole life being a wallflower and being shy and being kind of nerdy. Not in like the over like, oh, comic book nerdy, but like in a not popular girl kind of way. And she gets these powers. She gets to be a beautiful, goddamn beautiful green bombshell, babe. I want her to step on me, and then I want normal 4 foot or 5'4" Jen to cuddle me. It'll be great. That empowerment that she gets when she's She-Hulk, and she's getting all the looks and the attention and the romance. And in the episode where she is suing for the She-Hulk trademark, and they straight up said, like, yeah, I wouldn't really even care about her unless she was a giant green goddess. That fucking hurt. I teared up. And I loved the show because I had such good humor. But then all of a sudden it would have that. And people have brought up before that Marvel has a tone problem, especially now, where they'll have a serious moment and it's broken by unwarranted comedy. I feel like She-Hulk
Sure.
had that, but in a positive way and reversed. There was nonstop, like, jovial and humor, be it good humor, slightly cringy humor, or in the middle. Like, that's the thing about comedies. There's big ha-has, there's chuckles, and then there's like, that was a miss. But then all of a sudden, there would be that hard hit of reality. That, hey, you're watching this superhero lawyer show, but she's human and has experienced these horrible things against her. All I wanted ever was a She-Hulk show that I could relate to because of the way I see her in my mind and have her in my heart. And I truly, at least for a personal experience for me, got that from this show. It was incredible.
I think that's a great point because in the episode, like you said, where they were trying to figure out the She-Hulk trademark, essentially, there's the moment where she has the guy that she had the one night stand with, where he basically wanted to sleep with She-Hulk, and then he woke up to Jen the next morning, and I thought that's where the show was going to kind of create like a who is Jen, who is She-Hulk kind of identity crisis kind of thing. Not too heavy because that's not what the show is really about, but because in the comics, Jen is almost always and exclusively She-Hulk because that is kind of like her true self.
Yeah.
But in this show, obviously because of like budgetary reasons and other reasons, they let her play a dual identity essentially. And I think it works really well within the context of the show because she is very confident as Jen. She is confident with who she is in her skin, but she also is like, She-Hulk is a side of me that allows me to be a bit more confident, allows me to be a bit not be on guard all the time, because if someone were to jump me in an alley, I'm She-Hulk. What the hell are they actually going to do to me?
Right.
And
Right.
I think that is that was a really good, compelling idea that I think they still played with throughout the series, but it was done in such a nonchalant way that you could miss it if you weren't trying to pay attention for it.
I'm sure part of this is motivated by budget, where like she can't just be She-Hulk the
Well,
entire
Kevin
time.
said so.
Yeah, right. But I think it's also something that I think I haven't read the early She-Hulk comics, but I would bet they deal with this to some degree, even if it's just in a page or a couple panels. But like, arguably, the story of the show is her coming to terms with She-Hulk, right? Because like it's not something that she wants initially. It's something that she kind of realizes can work in her advantage, and then by the end of it, she's found that sort of, I guess, equilibrium. So I think they're really dealing with the identity thing in an interesting and smart way that you don't always see in this kind of thing, if that makes sense.
It's kind of funny because Savage She-Hulk, it was pretty much just rush out the door. We don't want ABC or NBC to get the rights for a female Hulk.
Right.
So it was very much a Jekyll and Hyde. Fun fact, Morbius is the one who helped find the serum to help cure Jen of her actual Savage side, which, where was my Morbius cameo? No, actually, Josh, we were predicting back at the very, very beginning when we were talking about the trailer drop. I was thinking that they would have made a Savage She-Hulk, like a serum to take the savageness away. I thought we were going to get an Amadeus Cho cameo. I thought they were going to bring him in because obviously he becomes the Hulk later on in the comics after Bruce loses his ability and then dies and then isn't dead anymore, and now he's Immortal Hulk, which is a fantastic read, but that's besides the point.
We can't get into the Hulk screen door.
No. In the 80s run with John Byrne, she was pretty much just a really sassy, comedic bombshell babe. But it was in the mid-2000s that there was a comic run where they actually did address that. She was always She-Hulk. She was always a spectacle. And she actually gets hired at the law firm. But they're like, look, but we want to hire Jen. We do not want to hire She-Hulk. So she actually has to revert back to Jen constantly. And she's like, I'm not comfortable being this person anymore. I don't want to be this person. And it's all about her coming to terms with her normal side. In this one, it was almost the opposite. She's happy being a wallflower. She's happy just being Jennifer Walters. Like, but she's not actually. She wants romance. She wants every girl, no matter how shy you are, you want that moment where you feel pretty. you want to be seen as pretty. And when she reluctantly switches over to She-Hulk because she's told to, she starts realizing, like, oh, that's getting me special attention. So it's almost like her coming to terms with this really new positive, but not overindulging in it as well. Which
Yeah.
it's just a really cool way to do it. It's almost like a reverse of the other stories.
And I think it's really smart the way that they handle, because, like, Tatiana Maslany is not an unattractive woman by any stretch of the
She's a cutie pie and I
imagination.
want to
So
snuggle
it's,
her so bad. Call
yeah,
me.
and so the way that they deal with that sort of dichotomy where, it's not that, like, Jen doesn't have confidence. It's not that Jen is unattractive or unappealing in some way. It's, but she is hyper competent in her
Mhm.
work, and she's so devoted to it. She almost has no room for anything else,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Where, like, the She-Hulk thing, is a thing that, because it's a big change, she doesn't want to be a superhero. She resists it, but then I think that part of the story of the season is her finding that it allows her, like you were saying, that opportunity to explore those other avenues of
Mhm.
herself. That I think that if this version of Jen really wanted to, she could, but she just never made that time for it, and now she finds herself in this situation where, like, people are pursuing her to make time for
Mhm.
that in a way.
Exactly.
So it's a really fresh way to do that. That's not like, oh, she's so dumpy,
Yeah,
or
she's frumpy because
she like,
she's like well kept and very cute and very attractive as Gen 2. So yeah, they didn't go like the
yeah,
Princess Diaries route. Is that what it was, a Princess Diaries with Anne Hathaway? Where they give her
yes,
glasses and
Yes.
yeah,
frizz
yeah,
out her hair and that's all. It's like, oh come on.
yeah.
Like, yeah, she has naturally curly hair, but curly hair's cute, I'm just saying. Um but yeah, no. And I like how you pointed out, and the way you kind of worded it was, Jen is a very confident woman. But she's
Yeah,
confident in her abilities and her knowledge, and a lot of
right.
women are confident in that. A lot of people, hell, it doesn't matter any gender and anyone who you are and how you identify as. A lot of people are confident in their abilities, but it's when you start getting into the things that are more easily to be judged, physical appearances or things like that. The way you sound, the way you look, the way you chew your food. Okay, that one's a little bit, just keep your mouth closed, I'm just saying. Um but and that's where it kind of comes into play. She gets a taste of kind of like what it's like to be pampered for a change. Because clearly, no matter how adorable she is, she's definitely the kind of girl who's going to sit at her computer for 14 hours looking up information instead of getting a mani-pedi.
Yeah, and it's interesting because arguably the only time in the season where she is quote unquote frumpy is like the 3 or 4 episodes where she has to wear these oversized suits,
Yes.
which is a very funny detail. Where when she's Jen, she's got these suits that are like way too big on her because she grows into them when she becomes She-Hulk. So I don't know if there was like an intentional thing there where, like, Jen is maybe receding into herself, or if it's just a fun detail they realized when they were making it. But that's like, there's a connection to be made there, and I don't know that I've thought it through enough to make it, but that's an interesting. That's like the only time where, like, she doesn't look like she is one of the most talented actors who's alive right
Right,
now.
right. Sorry, I'm getting lost in her beautiful eyes, just dreaming about her.
I was just gonna say there's one episode in particular. It's the Daredevil episode that Ricky, my wife. Whoops! I accidentally clicked the episode. Shut up, tablet. Nope. No, stop. I'm just
I
trying
like
to
this stuff out too.
scroll. Episode 8, Ribbit and Rip It,
Mm.
where Daredevil shows up and Jen has to help Leapfrog in a lawsuit against who has become her tailor, someone who makes clothes that don't make her look as frumpy, and the clothes will kind of transition with her, which those outfits look fantastic.
God damn you,
Props to
Ragdoll!
the war. Ricky, she did not like how quickly Jen just went, "Hey, it seems like you actually do have a case here. Let's move forward with it." Because the one thing she didn't really think to look at, which if she's supposed to be this competent, efficient lawyer, is she should be reading the owner's manual to make sure that there isn't something that this guy did wrong, which clearly he did. And I think that's something I agree with her, but I think it's kind of the writers needed a reason to show off Matt Murdock's abilities. So like he can smell the jet fuel, and it's something that might have gone overlooked if it weren't for that ability.
True in a sense, but she wanted to refuse it and they couldn't because his father's a high-paying client. So, two, she got pissed and she just wanted to take him down. And yes, I agree with you. She should have looked into the quote unquote owner's manual, but to be fair, she might not have realized. And again, this is just, she should have known by doing research, but it came down to the type of fuel, which might have not have been something that she would have asked initially, because she's still new to superheroes too, and especially superhero law division. So while that's not excusing, I think that Jen as a person, not as a character in an episode, probably would have been able to detect that. Um, at least in the context of the show and the build-up. It had enough dominoes to make it fall just right. But I agree with you. Like, it should have been something else a little less, like, really? You didn't look into that before?
Yeah, and I made the same argument to Ricky, and she's very adamant that that was just dumb. Like that it took her out of the episode in that moment because it did kind of make Jen look not quite as good at her job as she is.
Yeah.
I'm not refuting her at all. The way she felt about it is obviously nothing wrong with it. That didn't bother me so much just because, and this is just the way I kind of view these things, where sometimes I feel like I'm looking at the Matrix, where I'm like, oh, I see why you're making these decisions because this is how the episode has to go. If it was an episode that was more about that case, I think it would bother me more. But because it's real, they just have to get to the point where it's the team up, right?
episode,
So
yeah.
that's really just laying the groundwork. So I think that all the points are valid, but that personally didn't bother me that much because the rest of the episode they're doing something else with it, and it's just more important for their goals, I think.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because Ricky wouldn't let me live it down if I didn't bring it up. But let's talk about the true star of this show. Beppo, I'm sorry, She-Hulk. Yes, it's her name on the cover, but Madison with a Y, but not where you expect it to be. How did you guys feel about Madison and her arc that she had in the show?
I mean, she doesn't really have an arc, right?
Bro.
She's more of a force of nature.
Bro, this is what you bring up? I was about to get some fisticuffs, but you have a good point. Madison.
She owned the internet for about 2 weeks.
Oh, it was so good. It was so dumb. I'm really glad that Wong has a best friend now.
Yeah, I mean that's a fun character, and that's exactly the kind of thing that I'm not going to harp on the format too much, but it's hard to imagine that kind of thing where this character who shows up in a couple episodes, even Wong, who was only in 2 or 3 of these episodes, it's hard to imagine that in a show that is so hyper focused on the plot in the same way that like most of the other hour-long drama shows have been. So it's just that's the kind of thing that I love about this show, is that by embracing the format, it allows itself to be able to do that kind of thing. We're like, oh, what if we just had a fun party girl show up, and she's kind of a stereotypical party girl, but she's not like a character we're writing down to. We're not making fun of her too much.
Not just that, but they kind of take archetypes throughout the entire series and make fun of them. So it's like no one is a single punching bag, but everyone is poked fun at in an equal opportunity kind of way.
Sure.
So I like that, because it would be so easy for certain people on the internet just to be like, this show's just a bunch of man haters. And it's like, no. Men are made fun of, women are made fun of, but men are also propped up to be funny and intelligent, and women are propped up to be funny and intelligent. So it's like, it pokes fun at both sides. So anybody who keeps calling this like woke comedy doesn't understand a word that they're saying. Just saying.
Well, I mean, it's woke comedy in the sense that to them, woke means there's a woman in it.
Fair, very fair. I mean, hell, the last episode especially literally just takes... That's what's so funny, is that I guarantee you, I've been avoiding spoilers, right? Because I had to wait till today to watch it. I guarantee you, if I open up any news article about Marvel, I'm gonna see so many people complaining about oh, come on, those complaints that they had at the meeting are so unrealistic. And I'm like, bro, I have literally heard these exact same comments more times than I can count. Hell, when the TV show got announced, I was flipping through Facebook and the comments section was filled with those exact same comments. Don't tell me that
Yep.
they're oh, well, it's just pandering or that's not realistic. It's like, no, F you guys. That is 100% realistic. Uh so that's yeah. Yeah. I'm just saying. Sorry, I love the show.
The narratives never change with people like that. Like Tom Taylor's been dealing with people ragging on his Jonathan Kent Superman comic where Jonathan Kent is bisexual, but because they need a narrative, they're saying that he's a gay Superman and disrespecting the LGBTQ community by not understanding the difference between that, among other things, and then constantly saying that the book is canceled, the book is canceled, the book is doing horribly. When on launch day, it is like the number one book on all DC pull lists
Yeah.
through digital and physical. And now they've got this whole thing where the book is done. They finished the story, and now Jonathan is getting his own spinoff.
Mm-hmm.
But because the book is done, all of these people are saying, "Oh, we canceled it. It's been canceled. It's done because it's doing so horribly."
God.
Like that's not you're twisting the narrative because the
Well, you see
story
this kind of
is
thing
done.
constantly, right? We were talking about Captain Marvel a little while ago, and whatever you think of that movie, it made $1 billion.
Yeah.
You know, like made tons of money. If you go back to what was it, 2018, 2019, whenever that movie came out, there were people who are like, they're making $1 billion because Disney is buying out empty
Yeah. Yeah,
theaters
I
that nobody
remember
wants.
that. God, what a stupid argument.
Or like even with Shang-Chi, where, you know, I think they didn't make quite that many arguments, but you go, there's certain YouTubers, certain commentators who are like, this is such a failure, such a bomb for Marvel. Marvel's in trouble. When like the actual, you know, we can talk about how useful it is to like judge these by box office numbers, but by those metrics, like it made a ton of money and people liked it, you know? So like there it we are sort of off on a tangent, but the show is interested in this, so it's worth talking about.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there are just people who maybe they read comics, maybe they don't. Most of them, I would bet, probably haven't read a comic in 10 years because they just don't anymore for whatever reason. It literally doesn't matter. Like, Superman could be gay, Superman can be bi, Superman can be whatever, but they just have decided that because any character is not just a straight white dude, it's quote unquote woke, which is a word that has lost literally all meaning at this point, and therefore that means it's only pandering to people on those grounds and has no value whatsoever. Like they just live in a different reality. It's like it's bonkers to watch their arguments because it doesn't matter what Tom Taylor says. Like Tom Taylor could show up with, you know, I'm not even someone who particularly thinks that John Kent Superman book is great, right? Like it's fine, but it's not like blowing me away. But he could show data every day, and they'll come back and be like, "Well, yeah, but it ended because we don't understand the difference between a book ending and it being canceled.
Right.
And it's because he's gay and he kissed a pink-haired boy."
Oh my god, yeah. And I'm the first person to cringe at forced. I brought it up before, and again, I am only speaking for myself. I'm not going to speak for any other female identifying persons out there, but I cringe very hard at forced girl power stuff. To me, it
Sure.
feels extremely pandering and like not genuine. And I remember I had a friend kind of not chew me out. We had a discussion, but it was when the Wonder Woman trailer first dropped. And there was a part like, oh, and what are you to him? Oh, I'm his secretary. What does that mean? Oh, it means I do these things for him and I do this. Oh, so you're a slave. Oh, yeah, I like that. That made me roll my eyes so hard because I'm just like, I see what they're doing, but that didn't hit for me. It felt just like, get it? Haha, girl power. And it was kind of the same in Captain Marvel. I love the idea of whenever you are being discriminated against or persecuted for who you are and you're constantly being knocked down, to stand up and overcome that is incredible. But the scene of her constantly at every age literally standing up while a choir of angels sings in the background, I'm just sitting here like, come on. This is the cheesiest, most pandering thing. You have an incredible message and you're ruining it with just like being so ham-fisted. This is my own personal take. I will not speak for anyone else who feels extremely empowered by those moments. I have a couple friends who are very moved by those moments. But for me, that's how I take it in. It feels forced. So a lot of people that always complain about, oh, it's all woke and it's full of stuff. I hate that. But I feel like I have a nose when I feel like it's very pandery. Again, it felt very natural in the show. And it's another reason why,
Sure.
and I get it, I'm going in with a She-Hulk bias. But actually, because I'm such a big She-Hulk fan, I will be even more critical when they F something up. Because I don't want them to trash on my character. I don't want them to fail at an adaptation. And it was incredible for me. Yeah, it was. I loved it. Sorry, tangent aside, I love it.
No, yeah, and I think to that tangent, I think it's tough because there's a very fine line, right? Where like there's a reason that the strong female character is like a joke trope now,
Yeah.
right? Because for a long time, there's this sense that like the thing that makes a woman character cool and empowered is for her to do all the things that the male character
Exactly.
does.
Yep.
Except probably wearing like a metal bikini,
Yeah.
So like,
yes.
and that's because a lot of this stuff is written by like usually honestly white men who have a sense of like maybe what they should be doing but are fumbling through it, right? So like I don't know. I think that's where you can kind of feel the naturalness from She-Hulk because you can get the sense that even like I said, even if they're not only women in that room, they're the ones who are like setting the stage and like pushing the narrative.
Yes, exactly.
And it's possible to be performative with that kind of thing. Like people who complain about woke comics or whatever the fuck, they don't give
No.
a shit.
Mm-mm.
But sometimes you see that kind of thing where it is like you can tell somebody is trying maybe good-heartedly to push something, but they don't really know what they're
Yeah.
doing. So it comes off really clunky.
It does more harm than good,
So like,
unfortunately.
yeah, there can be a nugget of truth in that thing, but like it's never the thing that they're talking about,
Right.
right? They're only ever talking about character who fits this identity definition exists, therefore woke, therefore bad, Anyway, I know I'm off on a tangent to your tangent.
It's what I do
All I'm
best.
saying is right.
That's
You
why
and me
Josh
both.
doesn't want me on anymore. He's like, God damn, I have to do like 7 hours of editing just to get Beppo to get to a point.
You have an
Yeah,
open invitation.
I know it.
It's a fine line. It's easy for two things that would look the same, one to feel genuine and one not,
Mhm.
depending on the approach and who's the one who's deploying that stuff.
It comes
is all I'm
for
getting to.
me, a perfect I guess example is comedy. Stand-up comic. Let's say Matt and Josh go up and you guys are an open mic night at a comedy club. You have the exact same set, exact
You're
same
about to get me
jokes.
canceled.
Yes. Exact same set, exact same jokes. But let's say, and I promise I'm not picking on anyone, I'm just picking one or the other. Let's just say Josh does it and
Right.
no one laughs in the crowd. Let's say Matt comes up, does the exact same thing, and everyone's hooping and hollering. Sometimes you can have the exact same jokes, the exact same punchlines, but it all comes down to delivery. That's why some people, no matter how good your material is, if you're not charismatic and you can't pull it off, then you're just not going to be a successful comedian comic, not cartoon drawing comic.
Right.
But it's the same thing for especially in a big corporation thing like Disney and Marvel. There's that fine line of it feeling sincere and
Sure.
a fine line of it feeling, well, just throw in this trope. The girls will be happy because she's wearing a pretty dress and she flexes. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, pink washing or rainbow washing.
Exactly. And The movie itself, or movie, oh my god, the show itself felt very genuine. And just like with my anecdotes and saying this is purely my point of view, it felt like that some of the beats, the character beats that happened in the show, weren't purely a trope. It felt like it was one of the writers saying, "Hey, look, this has happened to me. And I realize I might be a minority in that, even amongst women, but this happened to me and it's very real."
Yeah.
Um and and they looked at it and said, "You know what? Not everyone experiences that, but that's still valid as hell." So they would include that.
Yeah.
Um it's also what helps to make Jennifer and some of the other characters in it feel more real and more human. Speaking of side characters, the other two, I can't remember their names. Her bestie and the other male lawyer in the law firm, they were fantastic side characters and I loved them. I genuinely thought I was going to be extremely annoyed by those two, but I very quickly fell in love with them. They are so goofy.
Yeah. I just want to say before we move on too quick, I get laughs because, unlike Josh, I'm an ally.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
So before Matt gets fired here, Ginger Gonzaga as Nikki,
Nikki.
and then let's find Pug here. Josh Segarra as Augustus Pug. His name's cut off here on IMDb. There we go. Pugliese. So yeah,
I was
Matt,
just
go
going
ahead.
with the metaphor. I was just going with back to her example.
Yo, now you're blaming Beppo and trying to get her fired.
Yeah, I'm an ally. I'm throwing the woman under the
bus. Fair. Okay, that was good though. But yeah. Long story short, me likey the move. Me likey the show. Me want more show. Me want Jen in movie. Which it sounds like she probably will be, judging by the direction of MCU.
Yeah.
But oh my god, that joke at the end of the episode, the last episode, she's like, "We'll see you in the movie." Wait, really? No, get the hell out of my office. Well, fine.
Yes.
Kevin, that cracked me up.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the last episode yet.
Yeah, the finale definitely needs to be discussed here.
Singular.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask, what did you guys think of when the quote unquote main villain was revealed, and were you surprised or were you expecting someone else?
We're talking about the main villain in terms of the little nebbish dork.
Yeah, the Zuckerberg tech bro that for most of the season we see him like trying to cozy up to Jen to no effect.
I guess I didn't think much of it, mostly because in my read he was sort of beside the point. But in terms of like that aspect of the show, it's like the most obvious choice in the world in retrospect, where it wasn't something where I was like, oh, the guy who's running the internet site is the guy that she's seen before, but it's like, oh, obviously that's him, because who else would it be?
The way that they do the complete heel turn ending of the fact that Jen points it out, be like, really? This is like the shittiest writing I've ever seen. This is following every trope. And they're like, well, yeah, but it's fine. It's just a TV show. So the fact that it is such a shitty reveal, and the fact that they bring it up that was intentional because of the fourth wall breaking, I thought was brilliant. I think that was a good subversion. Yeah. As far as in universe before that, like watching the show, I was just like, yeah, I mean, makes sense. It wasn't a jaw-dropping it wasn't like the Spider-Man Homecoming, the reveal of the villain towards the end of the movie.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Liz.
Liz's...
Was it?
Yeah, her dad.
Her dad.
Yeah, Liz
yeah,
Allen's
like
dad,
when Peter's going to pick up Liz for prom or homecoming, I mean. It's not that my jaw hit the floor for that, because I was not suspecting that. Yeah. It makes sense, and I should have seen it coming, but they did such a good job at not doing that kind of reveal and keeping it so hidden, like unimportant in the background, but it is. But when she actually breaks Disney Plus as a whole and jumps around and goes to the behind the scenes, I think that was a perfect way to end a show that felt like it was falsely building up to some sort of huge, like, oh well, what is going to happen now? Because what was it, episode 2 or 3? They were trying to get her blood, and it never came up ever again. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, they're gonna rush trying to get that, and yep, sure enough, they rushed, and then they stopped and went, guys, you rushed this shit. Yeah, but I mean, it's not like you're Iron Man or something, so we just kind of came up with everything. And she's like, no, fuck you, I'm writing my own show. Kevin! So it was a blast. I will say though, I got kind of sad when I saw Emil going up for talking, but then as he was talking for his seminar, I could tell he didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah, they just rented out his resort or whatever.
Yeah, he was just pitching his resort, his spa or whatever, in
Such a
his
sweetie.
book of haikus.
I love that.
He didn't have any ulterior motives of like defacing Jen or anything like that. But yeah, I will say that rat bastard Josh, that reveal, I thought that was also kind of, again, maybe that was the point. It was a little ham-fisted because we saw that he was stealing the data from her phone, but they also say that he took her blood that night too, which I feel like you would notice that even if you just had the best sex you've had in a long time.
She's passed out.
I mean, I think, but I
She's
do think
asleep.
that maybe when she woke up in the morning, she would have like a tiny little bump and she's like, oh, a bug bite. And just think of that.
Yeah.
But I think because I was waiting the entire season to see when they would successfully get her blood. And when it was showing that he was taking all of the data off of her phone, but not a single thing leading towards the blood, that's where I got confused too. And actually, even a line of, I think a line when she was complaining about that and be like, really? He's injecting mutated blood into him to create another Hulk? Besides, when did he get my blood? I never saw when he got my blood. Well, we forgot to write that scene in, but it's kind of assumed. No, it's not. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
they did a good job pointing out the flaws and making them intentional flaws, but something like that, they never once showed, at least as to what I can recall, with them getting her blood successfully.
Yeah, I think that's probably my biggest gripe towards the whole thing. I know the internet got Mephisto'd again because after the Wrecking Crew showed up in I think episode 2 or 3, people thought like, oh, the leader's coming back. This is where we're getting the leader. And nope, they got Ralph Bonard. And
That's what I thought too. I thought he was gonna be, especially with like the organization name. What was it? I can't say it. Intelligentsia. Yeah, and I was thinking, oh, okay, we're getting a big brain boy, and we didn't. So, but
yeah, I thought it was going to be a twist, and Blonsky was going to end up turning heel, and because they announced the Thunderbolts lineup, and you have all the super soldiers, Ghost, and then like nothing else. So it's like you need a heavier hitter, and Abomination would make sense. So maybe they're holding out on that until after this. But I mean, William Hurt had passed away, and we're hearing that Harrison Ford might be coming in for at least 2 movies to do the Thunderbolt Ross role, which I have my opinions on, which I don't like it, but that's just me. I'm sure Harrison Ford will do fine. He'll get paid enough money to sit through some really bad press tours to be like, so what lured you to Thunderbolt Ross? Is it the opportunity to become Red Hulk? And I can just see Harrison Ford going,
money.
I don't fucking know what you're talking about.
Yeah, what the hell are you talking about? I did it for money.
But the thing about that finale that I think is so, I think I said something on Twitter like it's too bad that the MCU is over because She-Hulk obliterated it. Because like, all the entire thing, and there's a degree to which, sometimes a thing will do a thing that, and then have a character be like, wow, that's hacky, or wow, what a trope, or wow, how shitty are the writers. And that's sort of feels like it's supposed to be a patch on the writers realizing, oh, this sucks.
Yeah, it's hanging a lantern.
It still sucks. You just hung a lantern on it. And I think this is slightly different because it is all in service of this sequence at the end where, the writers are sort of roasting how the MCU does this thing, where like so many of the movies, the shows do this thing where they like contrive to get all the characters in one place. They contrive to have a big fight break out, so many of the villains in these things are just main character but evil, and that's all that we get in this thing. And the show is rightly like, that sucks. Like, we don't have to do that all the time. We can do a different thing, especially with a character who is designed to do a different thing. So like that whole last sequence between her popping out of Disney Plus and her being like, what are we doing here? Like, why is this guy a fucking Hulk now? You know, like, is so good. And I think I'm willing to, like, I think it is a little rushed. It is a little skipping over some stuff, but in that last episode, at least, just that last episode, to be clear, it is very much, I think, to a point, and I think it's a very smart and sharp point that I resonated quite a bit with me, because that's like a complaint I've had about these things for forever, where, I remember watching Shang-Chi and my wife fell asleep 40 minutes before the
Oof.
end, but it was just the big fight scene. The last 40 minutes was the fight
Right.
scene. And it's like, this is so long and it's so big, and it's just, we could have done something different. And anyway, that's not that specific example, but the way that it is sort of roasting the MCU really tickled me.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed that. The fact that she just points out, like, well, yeah, that's everything ends that way. Why does mine have to end that way? Let mine end my way. Because she does point out, like, yes, she has superpowers, but she's a lawyer before anything else. And yeah, obviously it hints at that
Yeah.
she's going to do both now. Now that she's had a taste of justice with an iron fist to the face. But I appreciated that so much, because it focused so much on her coming to terms with things, her being a lawyer first and foremost, and trying to keep that lifestyle, even being a superpowered person now. So yeah, I appreciated it a ton.
And the little robot Kevin Feige has a little hat.
Oh,
That
that
rules.
too. Oh my god. Yes.
Like the top of his camera makes it look like he's wearing a little
Yes,
baseball
it
cap.
was so
Yep.
perfect.
Yeah, and I love Tatiana Maslany's delivery in that moment too, where she just starts nerding out, like, "Ooh, when are we getting the X-Men?"
And she
it
does a
just
little thumbs
how
up really quick to the camera and puts it back down.
yeah, she's like,
She's like, I got you
"Gotcha,
guys.
fam."
Yep, I got you, fam.
Yeah, the delivery and all that was just fantastic, and she embodied the character so well, and there was clearly a little extra care taken into building at least the characterization of this show. Like, I know going into it, the CGI looked rough in the trailers, and there are moments where it does look rough, but the show is so damn charming that it does not matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and Tatiana Maslany is great. If you've never seen Orphan Black, which is a show where she plays 5 clones who all have completely different
Mhm.
personalities, like, it's a masterclass. Like, she should be the biggest star in the world based on talent alone.
Right.
And like, shows like this, she doesn't get to show that range as much, but like, it's there. Like, she's like phenomenal, and I love her.
With how many big names Marvel hires, especially for cameo roles, where I'm like, I don't see. Now, mind you, I love Jeff Goldblum, but I did not see character in the MCU. I saw Jeff Goldblum, and it's like that for a lot of
Right.
people. I think the fact that she is a fantastic actress, but on the grander scale of things, she's a little bit of an unknown. She's less of an unknown and more of a hidden gem. And
Yeah.
her playing, people have asked me literally for decades, who would you pick to play She-Hulk? I literally have never had an answer, because I can't picture anyone playing Jen. When they announced her, and I remembered her from Orphan Black, and when the first trailer, and I was just like, okay, yeah, okay, cool. And then the first trailer dropped, and of course then throughout the first episode and stuff, I'm not seeing an actress, I'm seeing Jennifer Walters. She
Yeah.
does Jen's personality and goes with the show so flawlessly that I feel like it was probably supernatural for her. If she ever did an interview and said this was the easiest gig I've ever had because it was just so charming, I would believe her. And I don't think it's easy
Yeah.
because she phoned it in. I think it would just be easy because she latched on to that character so well.
And I mean, she got to twerk around with
Hell
Megan Thee
yeah.
Stallion
I
too.
love how people bitched about that. It's like, bro, I can't twerk, but if I met Megan Thee Stallion, who I'm not even a fan of, you bet your bippy I'd be twerking in that law office too. She'd be laughing at me. Be like, girl, you got a pancake ass. I'd be like, yeah, but it flops all the same.
And not to get back on the tangent we were on several times, but like it's so funny that is the thing that in some parts of the internet is emblematic of the show. Like you think like that's what the show is to some people because these shitheads see like one thing that confirms what they think about the show already, and they're like, that's the entire show.
Yep.
So it's like you said, it's a 3-second thing, and you see people are like, I can't believe that they've ruined She-Hulk with this.
I know.
Gag.
With this thing that the She-Hulk comic would totally do if they could really show off twerking in the comic.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, please, have you ever, clearly they have never been to a girls' night party, be it in someone's house, at the club, at the bar. You have the whitest, nerdiest girls trying to twerk because you're just drunk and having fun, or just having a good time. Seeing Jen twerking with Megan Thee Stallion in her office is not the strangest thing that would ever happen. I'm just saying.
Yeah, of course these guys have never been to a girls' night because the operative word there is girls.
Well, I don't think half of them have ever really been around a girl, but that's just a low-hanging fruit kind of joke. That's just a low-hanging dig. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm an old man, so I don't really know who Megan Thee Stallion is. So that reference kind of went over my head, but like you get enough of her character of who she is in that episode because you have the elf who is able to shapeshift and portray her a little bit, and then you have the moment where she's sitting in the audience in the court and she's just got her fan going.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of
she does that little like bah.
That's what she's famous for is bah. I mean, all you need to know is that she's a rap star. That's it. And she's very dramatic, which you can see in like her clothing and her hairstyles and her makeup and stuff like that. So of course you're gonna fucking twerk with Megan Thee Stallion. Like I said, I'm not even a Megan Thee Stallion fan, but I'd be twerking with Megan all day, every day. And embarrassing myself along the way. Thank you very much.
So before we go, we would be remiss to not talk about Jamila Jamil's Titania. Beppo, I'll let you take the lead on this one again as the She-Hulk expert.
Oh gosh. All right. So Titania is just she's just a character. Like as far as in the comics go, like she's definitely like a C-tier villain. She's kind of She-Hulk's one occurring villain that's not a big overall Hulk family, like the leader, for example. And I mean, it's pretty much she's just she has a case of, well, kind of like how Emil was in the first Hulk movie, where it's like, she's stronger than me. I need to be better. I need to be better. So I mean, when they said Titania, sorry, not Tatiana. I do that all the time now. When they said Titania, it was going to be in the show, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. I didn't really care what they did with her character personally, because she's kind of just a blank slate for the most part. She's a wrestler. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
She's a wrestler.
She's kind of a jobber where she can like show up. She fights She-Hulk a lot, but she can like show up anytime you need a big buff person. She could show up and fight the Fantastic Four.
My biggest gripe with the way that she was in the show, I loved that she was this like internet beauty guru, just like spoiled child kind of character. Clearly an entrepreneur, but like these YouTube beauty gurus who really don't care about anything else but themselves. So she had that kind of attitude. She was just trying to spite everyone, and she just wanted to be a dick to Jen. That worked. But I think it was just bizarre that in the first episode, she burst through the courtroom for no reason, showing off her superpowers. And then she doesn't use any superpowers anymore and just decides to harass Jen legally, but then decides to show up at the wedding and use just her superpowers. I do not understand her entrance at all in the first episode. I don't understand the point of that at all, because it didn't show her character to be a brawler type, because she immediately went back to just being a YouTube star basically, or an Instagram model. It didn't make any sense. The character was fine. I just don't understand the flip-flopping. It didn't work for me. It was bizarre.
There
Yeah,
was
I
a
think
motivation missing, yeah.
I think that they do. I think they sort of staple on a thing in an episode later by way of explanation, but I don't disagree. And that's the thing I think I get at with. I think that first episode is maybe the weakest one, where like they need sort of a something resembling a fight scene at the end of the episode, partially to hit that beat and also to transition to the thing that the show's going to be
Right.
about, which is going to be her getting a new job, right? And like also the conflict between She-Hulk, the Hulk side, and the Jen side to a certain degree. So it is a thing where it's like, oh, we need a thing to happen here, and maybe we haven't figured it out yet, and we know Titania's in it, so what if she just bursts into the courtroom and causes a fight that ruins Jen's career or whatever?
Right, but yeah,
Um,
like, why was she there though?
if I remember correctly, and I'd have to go back and watch to find out, I think there's like a newscast in the background of an episode after that says she was on trial or like had been brought in for something and broke out and escaped that way.
Well, but then
I
she
don't.
wouldn't be just doing things all willy-nilly and doing a new makeup line. If
I think that's just how they explained it.
yeah, I
I'm
don't
not
even
vouching for its
remember an
actual quality.
explanation. I'd have to go back and rewatch everything and keep my ears open for it, because that's where I'm confused.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's Jen's big case. She's trying to win the case. It would have made more sense if no, I don't know. It would have made more sense if like it was her company being sued. Maybe it was and I just missed it. Or it was a completely other character that she hired as like a bodyguard breakthrough. And then later on it's revealed that she also has super strength later in the fight throughout the season. If she had just been a normal beauty guru, and then it was revealed she was also superhuman, because they don't even touch on that either. The fact that she has strength. And I get it, because the whole thing is, well, more and more superhuman people are popping up, so that's why we need a special law firm, but just nothing. There was nothing there. I was super confused. Otherwise, I liked her portrayal. I liked the actress. I just don't think that she had a point being there half the time.
Yeah, I think there was an explanation, but I think it was Blink and you'll miss it. So I think it's on like a newscast in the background or something that if you're like focus on something else, you're gonna miss it. But Josh, you were trying to say something. Sorry.
So while we're on the subject of Titania's first reveal in the series, did you guys see Jamila Jamil's Twitter account where she thanked the directors and producers for the opportunity to, pardon my language here, get punched in the vag?
I did not see that, but that is incredible. No. She did. She got oof, and let me tell you, that is not pleasant.
Well, so the take that they show in the episode is she gets punched in like the gut or the chest or something, but Jamila Jamil thought it would be funnier if she got punched in
the crotch,
the lower abdominal crotch region. So they did a take where she got punched down there, and it just didn't quite work with what they were going for, so they cut it. But she has footage of them doing like the wire work.
Aww.
So if you scour her Twitter feed or her Instagram, you'll
That's
find
awesome.
it.
I'll have to look that
yeah,
up.
she was very grateful for at least the opportunity to get punched in the crotch by She-Hulk.
I mean, same though. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna sit over here being thirsty.
Something I do appreciate about that though is like she's a little inconsistent throughout the season, and she's like an antagonist for a couple episodes, but aside from the way that they like sort of haphazardly throw everyone in at the end before the like sort of reboot question happens, I really appreciate that they're not doing a thing where they're like, oh, we have to like settle their arc or whatever, because she's just like someone, they just don't like each other, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be like a big grand thing, right? Where like they have these confrontations, and it doesn't come to like this head because they're not arch rivals. They just fucking hate each
Oh
other.
yeah, no, and
So
that's super
it's
valid.
yeah, it's great that they leave her there to just show up or not
Yeah,
again.
yeah. No, I was fine. I know people were kind of angry that they made her like, why is she a beauty guru instead of like, a this and that? It's like because it works for that kind of cattiness. The whole entire point of Titania, or yeah, Titania. God, I can't.
Yeah, you're right.
The whole point
Got
of
it.
her, at least kind of as an overall thing, is she's just a thorn in Jen's side.
Yeah.
She wants to be better than Jen in several different ways, and it's not she's just tired of being the second fiddle basically. So the fact that she's this like online superstar and this green lawyer is like taking away her clicks and her views, kind of a mentality. Not literally, but it's that kind of
Yeah.
mentality. It's catty behavior, and it works so well. It works well taking that casual cattiness and putting it onto a superhuman level, literally.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think they don't really explore this, but I think there's probably a thought process that is like Titania is, like we were talking about, all the things that like Jen is before she's She-Hulk. Like there's a woman that kind of embodies that kind of confidence, that sort of swagger that Jen doesn't quite portray as much in her normal
Yeah.
self. I think there's something there that maybe is where they were going for there, but I don't think they like took the time to explore it, which is
Right.
fine. But if I had to guess, and also generally, whenever someone is like, "Why didn't you? Why'd you change it from the comics?" My answer is always, "Shut up, nerd. Who cares?"
Right, yeah.
It's different because it's different.
Yeah, one thing that this show did that I appreciate as far as like the overall MCU goes is it did finally let us know what the hell's going on with the Sokovia Accords as well, which apparently they've been repealed sometime in the last couple of years.
Makes sense that they would have done something like that in after the aftermath of the snap and the reverse snap.
Yeah, with the way the Avengers handled everything, I think that was kind of a goodwill gesture,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's completely unimportant. It's for nerds like me who are like, what the hell is happening with this thing?
They took about as much care explaining how all that happened as they did in the actual comics when Civil War ended.
Yeah.
Which is to say,
By
very
the
little.
way, Josh, we didn't talk about your cameo at the end of the final episode.
God damn it, I was hoping we'd get through without that.
You had a nice haircut, that's all I'll say.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing is my Sicarian barber Stan Lee is
Yeah.
doing some good work.
Yep, looking good there. It was good to see you in an MCU show finally. I'll get my day.
Yeah, I'm glad I could finally show off all that hard work I put into building some muscle.
Don't worry. I'll get my cameo one day as a female number 4 in the next season of She-Hulk, where I get stepped on and say thank you, mommy.
Well, I mean, now you've got the end with Scar, son of Hulk, so you know.
How do you think that guy's stand-up goes over?
I don't know. Different planet, different sense of humor. Who knows? I don't know if his humor translates to Earth very well.
You're at the open mic and that guy shows up with that hair. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, oh, it's just Josh Scar.
Oh, my buddy Josh finally got up there.
There you are.
I hope I don't
my hair's thinning out more in the back than it is the front right now. So
You gotta rock it. Nah, it was I couldn't resist. It was funny.
The minute he showed up and Bruce is like, "Hey, I want you all to meet my son, Scar," Ricky and I just looked at each other and started laughing because I've been making that reference for a long ass time.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much from the moment I saw that there was a comic out there called Scar, Son of Hulk, and so I'll be like, my last name is Scar, and they'll be like the Lion King, like more like the Son of Hulk, but yeah, okay.
And they're like, "Who the fuck is that?"
Like, what the hell does that even mean?
Because nobody knows who that
exactly
is.
But now like 30 to 40% of the population will understand that joke. So we will start wrapping it up there. My cameo in She-Hulk seems like a great place to end the episode, so I'm going to start doing our wrap up here. I've got my script that Matt so graciously recommended I do, which I have still flubbed like several times, but at least it's
Did
better.
I recommend that?
You said you could script this out or edit, so I went with the script.
Sometimes I have good ideas.
You can follow me on Twitter at Josh_Scar, like son of Hulk, at Talking Smack Pod. You can follow the podcast. You can email us at tsmackpod@gmail.com. You can join our Discord, which Matt so graciously kind of made a little more easygoing, made a bunch of categories, and we're having some fun talking with people in that area. And thank you to Leo Allen for our musical themes, and thank you to Beppo for our avatars.
Yes, I am very far behind on everything, so I do apologize. I will catch up eventually.
Please subscribe, rate, review. Sorry, Matt.
I was just going to say the thing I said before, which if you like the way I go on unhinged rants in audio form, Discord's a great way to see that kind of thing in text. Just walls of text.
Yes.
Whatever's on my mind that day.
Awesome.
So come on over. Hang out.
Matt, you gave me a history lesson on something. What was it? It was
we can't do that now. The way that they recently retconned Sins Past in the Spider-Man comics.
That's right. They Norman Osborn's current status.
And also, Norman Osborn is a good guy now because he got shot by a magic shotgun.
Yeah. But yeah, if you want to understand what the hell's going on in modern comics, you can have Matt give you a quick history lesson that's not that quick. Beppo, do you want to share any of your socials?
You can follow me at Beppo on Twitter. I haven't been very active lately. I've been working on some other stuff in the background, secret projects and whatnot.
Her She-Hulk cameo.
My She-Hulk cameo. Yeah, I'm in talks with Disney. They're going to make me the next big star of the MCU. She-Hulk lackey number 2.
Madison's best friend.
Yes. Hell yeah. Well, Madison's a little much for me, but I'd totally hang out with Wong and watch some Sopranos. But yeah, no.
Wongers.
Oh my god, it's no. Thank you, Josh, for making sure that I was available for the She-Hulk episode. This is what I live for. Anything to do with my Shulky.
Yes, there's no way we were doing this one without you.
Yeah, I think it would be sacrilegious to whatever religion involves She-Hulk. To not have me as like the patron saint and apostle of She-Hulk lore.
Well, again, Matt, thank you for coming on as always. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, always happy to be here. If you need to follow me, just look to the sky and listen for the join the Discord or go outside and just listen to the whisper of the wind.
Hell yeah.
You'll hear my hot takes.
And again, please like, subscribe, comment, review, whatever podcatcher you listen to, please subscribe and rate. And it helps us out a lot, moves us up the ladder of other Talking Smacks, because there's one that is still above us that is a sports one. And god damn it, let's beat the sports. I like sports, but
you love sports.
Yeah, but I mean, not everyone.
What the S stood for sports?
Yes, sports ball, my favorite.
Yeah, they don't even
Talking
use it
Smack.
cleverly as like an acronym. They just didn't want to have the K on there. Whereas we at least make it work. So,
Talking
just give us the
Smack,
review and the
sports
subscribe
movies.
for cleverness. All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, for listening, and take care.
Bye. Just watch it. Just watch She-Hulk. Just watch it.